So shut up.
Welcome to Sports Bytes. With your host, Chris Joseph. Are you a sports fanatic who loves the thrill of the game and the delicious food that accompanies it?
And then they had chicken fingers, exotic chicken fingers.
Join us as we dive into the world of sports and the delectable bites that make the experience even better. Whether you're in the stadium, tailgating, or watching from the comfort of your home, get ready to satisfy your sports cravings with Chris Joseph on Sports Bytes. Let's dig in.
Of course that happens. Had to turn my camera off, my computer off, and it reset everything. Oh my goodness. What a great way to start this episode of Reaction Monday. Guys, I hope you're doing okay. Hope you're having a better weekend than I am, a better Monday as far as with how this has been going. It's like, geez, thanks. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. We'll get it together. We're going to have us a good show. A lot to talk about. It's Reaction Monday, guys. It's Reaction Monday. Top 25 chaos. Stuff that happened this weekend in college football brought some teams into the forefront. Some teams may have lost their opportunity. I had the 6 games I talked about on Football Friday night. Those games, we'll go over talk about how they fared, how I did on my give them a 6 or 6 picks. And then there's just some fun stuff to get into, right? Before we get into I want to show this because, one, it's just impressive. Watching the NFL yesterday, Saquon Barkley. If you haven't seen it, if you're watching live.
3rd and 6 for Philadelphia.
Hurts has time. Now locates Barkley out of the backfield. Barkley slips 2 tackles and picks up the first down. Jumping up in the air to the 30.
What?
A gain of 14 for Barkley.
Out of moves right here. Makes the first guy miss. The spin move at the last second. And then, what, Tiki, you're right.
He's
Bro,
off another guy while he's backwards.
You got to see this again.
Jumped up and
This kid is
backwards
special,
hurdles.
man. Just
NFL. It's unbelievable. I mean, I'm doing it no justice talking about how spectacular this play was, right? Because it was pretty damn phenomenal. I will say this also. Washington keeps on winning, baby. Keeps on winning. And I love it because it's been a long time since Washington has been good. They're 7-2. And they're playing really good. Right behind the Lions. But they got the Steelers next week. Steelers are 6-2, so that'll be a good matchup. 6-2 Steelers. And coming up, I know they've got the Eagles on a Thursday night game. That's going to be awesome. A lot of attention. And like I mentioned about my team, the crazy thing is that there's reports out there now of people saying, hey, I want to come to Washington to play. That hasn't happened in decades. Nobody has wanted to touch foot in Washington because of, what Daniel Snyder was doing, how terrible he was. But now they're wanting to come to Washington. Now they're wanting to come. They're having fun. Jaden Daniels, Terry McLaurin. I was afraid that Washington was going to lose Terry McLaurin. He came out and said, hey, I'm having the time of my life right now. And I'm all for it. I'm all for it because I love when guys like that, because I was like, man, we're going to lose him. Some of that Kentucky gold. On a Monday night. Got football tonight. Got the Buccaneers and the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes, Baker Mayfield. We all know that game that happened back when they were both in college where there was over like 1,300 yards of total offense between the two. Unreal game. Oklahoma won that game. But, man, what a crazy, crazy, crazy game that was. And so we're going to jump in. We're going to start talking about some of the games, right? First game I want to talk about, Duke, Miami. So this game was close for a little bit, and then all of a sudden Miami just said, nope, we're not having any of that today. I was like, all right, Duke's playing well. Malik Murphy playing well. It was 21-17 at halftime. Duke was in the lead. Cam Ward, 25 of 41, 400 yards, 5 touchdowns. 400 yards, 5 touchdowns. That's crazy. Cam Ward keeps proving everybody. Malik Murphy, 25 of 41. He had 3 touchdowns, but he also had 3 interceptions. And Miami just continues to make plays. And I know there's a lot of people who are mad and saying, well, Miami hasn't played anybody. It's not their fault. It's not their fault. And then, well, they had a close one against, Virginia Tech. Shouldn't Auburn have lost or shouldn't Georgia have lost to Auburn last year? Everyone thinks they're one of the best teams. Those games happen, right? They happen. But also what you have to think about with Miami is they are finding ways to win football games. Plain and simple. They're finding ways to win football games. Now, I'm still waiting for Mario Cristobal to fuck that all up at some point. But right now, Miami's rolling. And like I said, Cam Ward has secured himself. I think unless there's an absolute crater for the remaining schedule. I mean, the Hurricanes, they've got Georgia Tech next weekend, which could be an interesting game. Wake Forest, Syracuse. Unless they absolutely crater, I think Cam Ward's going to be in New York. I do. I think with what he's done, I mean, you look at him on the season, and Cam Ward is putting up ridiculous numbers. 3,146 yards, 29 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Completing, let's see, what is he completing? 63% of his passes. So, I mean, he's playing good football, guys. And they're winning. Duke now, with that loss, unfortunately, drops them to 2-3 in conference. Miami's still sitting there undefeated. And Miami's looking solid. I mean, right now, the way it may look, it might end up being Miami and SMU in the ACC championship game. I mean, it's crazy to think that, but it just might happen. Because right now, even the way Pitt's playing, they lost. We'll talk about that game. Pitt and SMU, right? And I thought Ken Jennings played well. Holstein did not play as good as he should have. Had an interception. Just could never really get that offense going. But Kevin Jennings, when I say Ken Jennings, we're not talking about Jeopardy here. We're not talking about Jeopardy. So, yeah. Kevin Jennings, the quarterback for the SMU Ponies, the Mustangs, man, he's had 1,900 yards, 12 touchdowns, 5 interceptions on the year. He finished the day with 306 yards, 2 touchdowns. Rashard Smith really ran the ball well, 23 carries, 161 yards. That was the big difference. SMU was able to run the football. And when you're able to run the football, pound the clock, pound the ball, you're going to continue to have success. And you're going to continue to open up the pass game. And then when you have a threat like Kevin Jennings, tall, lanky, athletic guy, can move around the pocket, it's hard. It's hard. Preston Stone, he was all the talk coming into the year. People thinking, oh, man, Preston, not the guy. This is why you always got to prepare. Always have to prepare. I mean, it was 31-3 at half, SMU. SMU wins 48-25, and it didn't even seem that close. I was disappointed because I thought Narduzzi's team was going to play a little bit better than what they did. They didn't. SMU in Dallas, the Pony Express, Pony Excess, they're back, and they're battling. They're battling. If you look at SMU now, what's left for them, they're 5-0 in conference. Their only loss to another undefeated team, BYU. And at first in the part of the season, you're like, okay, you lost it. You didn't know BYU was going to be what they are. But you got Boston College at Virginia and Cal. That's the last 3 games for SMU. And I tell you what, they got a really good chance of making it to the ACC championship game. Miami and SMU, who would have thought that, right? They've got a really good chance to make it to the ACC championship game. And like I said, I'm surprised, and especially without Preston Stone, because everyone was so high on Preston Stone heading into the year that Kevin Jennings has come in, and they're not missing a beat. Not missing a beat. They put up 40-plus points on a Pat Narduzzi team. They had a guy run for 161 yards. It's phenomenal. And so it's been a weird football year. I mean, you think of some of the teams that are up there. BYU, Kalani Sitake and the Cougars were 5-7 last year. Now they're in the top 10 and undefeated. What? They got the Holy War coming up this week, BYU and Utah. Everyone thought that Utah was going to be really good. They didn't think BYU was going to be good. They thought Utah was going to be good. That didn't happen. So now BYU, the Cougars, they're sitting there. They're ready to go. We're going to talk more about the Big 12 on Friday. Some of the games, man. There's some big games. And I'm going to tell you what happened a little bit in the Big 12. So we all know what happened. Kansas State, you lost. That's their second loss in conference, right? So they're done. They lost to Houston. Not a good loss. Iowa State lost to Texas Tech. That's Iowa State's first loss. So now you got BYU, Iowa State, and Colorado sitting right there. Now, Colorado doesn't face Iowa State. Iowa State does have to play Kansas State. Kansas State's out of it right now on the outside looking in, because if they'd have won that game, you could have had the chance to where even if Kansas State and Colorado end up with the same record, Kansas State gets in because they won the head-to-head by 3 points. Really good game. Kansas State loses to Houston. Willie Fritz, man, that guy can coach some football. Kudos to him. Everyone talking about how bad they were going to be. Willie Fritz has got them playing good football. And from the first game to the second game when they played Oklahoma, I mean, all in all, man, tip of the hat to Willie Fritz, man. That's a damn good football coach. And he gets the most out of his players. He is able to have success and really enjoy the fruits of his coaching. And what's great now is because he's coaching and they're winning, right? Willie Fritz will have Houston winning football really soon. You've got a great recruiting base, in Texas and Houston. You don't have the SEC. That's a big thing for Texas A&M, for Texas now. But Willie Fritz, man, that's a hell of a football coach. And I tip my hat to him. But yeah, the Colorado Buffaloes are sitting right there on the outs. They're just right there. If they win out, handle their business, they got to play Texas Tech this week. That's a big game. Love some bourbon. But they have a chance. And here's the thing. Nobody thought Coach Prime and them were going to be there. Nobody. Everyone was hating on him. Travis Hunter, possible Heisman Trophy candidate. Possible. Well, Heisman Trophy winner. He is a candidate. Let me correct that. He is a candidate. He'll probably be in New York. But yeah, that young man he just plays ball. Just plays ball. Another game in the ACC. This was a big ACC weekend, right? A lot of big games. We were excited. Louisville, Clemson. Louisville, Clemson. And what happened? Clemson went to Clemsoning. Dabo, some of the decisions Dabo made in this game when he was trying to kick a field goal, he gets blocked. I mean, just so many weird decisions. But I mean, this game, Louisville's up 17-7.5. And I promise you there's nobody in that stadium in Death Valley that thought that they were going to win the game. Louisville dominated, and Tyler Shuck didn't have a great day. 17-32, 156 yards. Now, their running back Isaac Brown had a really good day. He was able to run it all over that Clemson defense. 151 yards on 20 carries. Okay. But kudos to the special teams. Tyler Shuck ran one in. Kewan Brown had a 1-yard touchdown run. 3 field goals in the third quarter. So, I mean, Louisville sitting there at 4-2. Clemson now at 5-1. I don't – if SMU and Miami end up – they're outside. They're not getting in there. But everyone was so high on Dabo, so high on Clemson after coming back from that Georgia defeat that they had at the beginning of the year. Everyone's like, oh, my gosh, is he going to be able to do it? And he was great. They're rolling. Cade Klubnik playing exceptionally well. Now, what I don't like seeing is what we saw at the game, similar to the Texas-Georgia game. The Louisville fans or the Clemson fans were not happy with what was going on and started throwing stuff on the field. You can't do that, guys. It's one of the reasons that I've got to the point that I like watching games at home, because you see stuff like that. You see, like the clips from Florida, Georgia, the cops beating the hell out of that guy. Like, I don't know what's going on. But I never went to a football game to fight somebody, and I know that a lot of people, they like to have an adult beverage. I like to have an adult beverage, but I've never went to a football game to fight somebody. What's up, Dominic? Just talking about this Clemson-Louisville game. Just surprised at how early this game was over and how bad Dabo was coaching, his coaching decisions. And, Tyler Shuck, not great numbers, but a solid performance, led the team. And, Clemson. That's all I can say. When they call it Clemsoning for a reason, right? They call it Clemsoning for a reason. Next game I want to talk about, go to the Big Ten. Oregon and Michigan. Boy, Michigan, it's a bad year. Who's having a worse time right now? Michigan fans or USC fans? It's a serious question. Who's having the worst time right now? Michigan fans or USC fans? And I love seeing so many USC people that were keyboard tough guys talking crap about Oklahoma fans saying, you're not going to like Lincoln, this and that. I've seen so many UFC fans on social media saying, I would like to extend an apology to the Oklahoma fans. You were absolutely right about Lincoln Riley. But Michigan, you're coming off a national championship. And like I said, the optics don't look good. It looks like you can only win when you're stealing signs. How do you not have a guy that can complete a forward pass? I don't get it. You're Michigan. Dylan Gabriel goes out there, yeoman work, 22 of 34, 294, 1 touchdown. Jordan James, another great day running the ball. Again, a lot of these teams that are quick strike, everything is predicated on running the ball, okay? Everything works. Look at Josh Heupel in Tennessee. When Sampson is running the ball well, that's when they can take shots with Nico. Same with Oregon. When James is running well, that's going to open up the pass. And then Gabriel has enough mobility to where that can cause a problem for some people, right? But Oregon came in, and at first I was like, oh, okay, it's 7-7. Here we go. Nope, 28-10.5. And from then it was done. Oregon, again, they're the class right now. Some people want to say Georgia. Some people want to say Texas still. I think Oregon, you go on the road to the Big House. It's still not an easy place to play. But you go to the Big House, you get a victory in a convincing way. The spread was 14.5, so they covered the spread easily. And that's kind of what I thought. I knew they were going to kind of cover the spread. I said that in my show on Friday, that I said, I don't see it. I don't see Michigan having it, right? I didn't. And Michigan loses that game 38-17. Now, the other game in the Big Ten I want to talk about. I talked about this one on Friday. Penn State, Ohio State. Is James Franklin ever going to win a big football game? I mean, his record is terrible in big games. And then he gets into it with a fan on the way out, and he's like, what's your name? If you're man enough to yell, you say your name. Shut up. Win a football game. But James Franklin, man, you just sit there and you drink your water and you blink your eyes and you're like, yep. Drew Allard, 12 of 21 interception, 146 yards. Warren, the great tight end, limited to 3 receptions, or 3. He carried the ball 3 times. Quinshon Judkins, 14 carries, 95 yards. Will Howard, kind of a revenge game for Will Howard. He talked about how he was, kind of pushed aside from Penn State. 16 of 24, 182 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Jeremiah Smith, 4 receptions, 55 yards for that phenomenal freshman. But here's what I don't like. Here's what I don't like about this. I have said all year that I'm not buying Penn State. I'm not buying them. They can't do it. I'm not going to fall into that trap. But the AP, and it's one of the things, look, I take part in a poll. I vote for the FWAA Super 16. And I dropped Penn State out of the top 6. I mean, I don't like Penn State. I don't think they're that good of a football team. But here's what's going to happen. They're going to stay up there, right? They're not going anywhere. They're number 6. So if they continue to win, they're going to go to the playoff. I don't think Penn State is, and I wish just watch tape, right? Tape don't lie. And you trailed the whole game basically against USC, came back to win good. Wisconsin gave you a battle. UCLA, not much, but who have you played? And again, it's not like Miami, where I'm saying you only can play the teams in front of you. But what I hate is Penn State gets ranked so high that when they go out there and lay an egg like they do every year, they're still going to be ranked high enough to where they're going to make it to the playoff. And they're going to get housed in a playoff game because Drew Allard, there's nobody explosive on Penn State's football team. There's nobody explosive. If they get down by 2 scores, it's done. It's done. They're not going to win that game. And I hate the fact that Penn State is going to stay. They're up there at 6. what's left on Penn State's schedule? At Purdue, joke. At Minnesota. Minnesota always shows up, plays tough, even when they're overmatched. And then Maryland. So Penn State's going to probably win out and make the damn college football playoffs because of where they were put in the preseason. I don't like it. I don't buy it. I don't think Penn State is worthy of a playoff spot. May upset some Penn State fans, and I apologize. Just trying to call it like I see it. Now, the game that I was really excited for, right? I was really excited for this game because I wanted to see how both teams responded. I wanted to see how A&M responded after the big win against LSU. And I wanted to see how South Carolina responded coming off that lopsided victory at Oklahoma where they scored a couple defensive touchdowns early. It's 21-0 within the first 4 minutes of the game. It's at Williams-Brice Stadium. Everything is, they come with the black uniforms. Everything's good. It's there. And I'm going to tell you this much. One of the best college football environments ever, anywhere. And I can't wait. Next year, Oklahoma goes to Columbia. I'm going. And I pray it's a night game. I pray it's a night game. Sandstorm going nuts, the cockaboose, everybody. I can't wait for it. But, man, did they put a beat down on A&M. And it started early. Like they were more physical. Lenora Sellers making good decisions. Rocket Sanders running over, through, around people. It was impressive. And here's the thing with South Carolina, right? The LSU loss. And I'm not one of these people that's going to sit there and blame referees. I can actually say the referees screwed that game up. 2 defensive touchdowns taken away. Now, Ole Miss just took it to them. Alabama, a player or two could win that game. South Carolina is a good football team. That is a damn good football team. And I'll tell you this. You know what? Kudos to Marcel Reed. He got the start. I think they said, moving forward, he's going to be the guy. But Lenora Sellers, 13-27, 244, 2 touchdowns. Reed had 18-28, right? 206 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. It's okay. Now, Le'Veon Moss, the running back for A&M, came out today that he is now out for the year with that hit he took on the sideline. Knee is gone. It's unfortunate. I hate that. I hate when anybody, gets hurt to that point. But this game was a beat. And I'm going to tell you, so I don't know if you guys have YouTube TV, right? I got rid of all that other crap, right? Direct TV, stream. I got rid of it when before the football season, were, again, having this argument. So I was like, I'm going to YouTube TV. Now, YouTube TV, what I like, when you're watching that broadcast and you watch the 4K broadcast, when the game goes to commercial break, you stay there in the stadium and you see everything that's going on in the stadium. And I thought it was amazing. The light show, Sandstorm, everybody, bouncing, USC. I think it's an amazing atmosphere. I saw there was a tweet from a USC or a Southern California commit that was at that game and said it was the best atmosphere he's ever seen in a college football game. And I have to say he's probably right. Now, I thought it was funny. Some of the people trying to jump down, storm the field, they didn't make it too far. The shrubs. There's one picture of guys like upside down and backwards falling through the shrubs. And it's like, oh, brother. But kudos to South Carolina. Remaining for South Carolina, they got a big one this week. And again, this is another way, talking about how weird the year is. And I know my boy Vandy Chris is excited about it. Vandy is bowl eligible. Vanderbilt is bowl eligible for Oklahoma, right? And USC. And Michigan. Vanderbilt. So, but now Vanderbilt gets to host the game as a top 25 ranked football team. After they came down and beat Auburn, Diego Pavia now 3-0 against Hugh Freeze. He's beat them 2 years in a row on that field at Jordan-Hare. But now, Vanderbilt, ranked number 24, right? You get – that's going to be an intriguing game. I'm really excited about that game. Vanderbilt, Missouri, which I'll talk about Missouri a little bit. Oklahoma's got Missouri this week, an old Big 8, Big 12 rival. I don't think Brady Cook is going to play just by judging by the spread. I think it was only at 2. So I would say Brady Cook's probably not going to play. Then they play Wofford and Clemson. And I'll tell you this much. Even at Clemson, South Carolina can go in there and win that game. They can go in there and win that game. So, if they win out, they're 9-3. It's a damn good year for Shane Beamer. Go to a good bowl game. That matchup this weekend, South Carolina and Vanderbilt, is going to be very interesting. I'm excited. I wish the stadium was in better condition in Nashville to host this game. It's not, but I wish it was. Still, it's going to be fun. I can't wait. I can't wait. Speaking of Missouri, I got to show you this. I'm not a big fan of Missouri. People know that. They've heard me talk, coming into this year. They were another team that was positioned up there really high, coming off a victory over a very depleted Ohio State team last year in a bowl game. Eli Drinkwitz, old Drink. This is what I think of Drink. Can you tell who's who? This is why I said he looks like the wrong O'Shea brother. He looks like Rick Moranis and the Little Giants. Just look at that. They're the same guy. They're the same guy. And it's Brady Cook, I commend you on your toughness, brother, coming back. But it's not going to be good. Indiana continuing to roll. Rourke with 263 yards, 4 tugs. I mean, that kid may find his way into New York. But freaking Indiana, man. Kurt Cignetti doing such a good job. Indiana's got Michigan this week. They just walloped Michigan State. I mean, so the interesting game, if they could beat Michigan, that sets up a November 23rd matchup against Ohio State. Again, this weird year of football, who would have thought South Carolina Vanderbilt was going to be an important football game that had so much at stake for both teams, that Vanderbilt was going to be ranked? Who would have thought Indiana at Michigan coming into the year, that the team that's ranked number 8 is not in the maize and blue? The Bloomington guys, man, the Hoosiers, rolling. And they're looking like a good football team. Defensively, offensively. They have bought into Kurt Cignetti, and it's showing on the field. They blasted Michigan State 47-10. They can score in a multitude of ways. And they've even proven if Rourke gets hurt, it don't matter. It don't matter. Because Taven Jackson can come in and get it done. So, I mean, they've got talent. And that's why it's crazy when you look around the country at some of the quote-unquote blue bloods, Oklahoma, USC, Michigan, how bad they're struggling. Here's Indiana, just clicking along, whooping up on people. I mean, listen to some of their scores. 31-7, 77-3, 42-13, 52-14, 42-28, 42-24, 56-7 against Nebraska, 31-17 against Washington with the game day crowd, 47-10 against Michigan State. These guys are just absolutely bombing on people. I don't think they get I think Indiana is a hell of a lot better football team than Penn State. And I think Indiana, it'll be interesting to see tomorrow because the new college football playoff rankings come out. Then all the AP crap will be gone. Everyone will just worry about the college football playoff rankings, right? But I think Indiana's a better football team because they have explosiveness. They can score from anywhere on the field. Penn State cannot. And that reared its head this weekend. You saw it. But I love the whole Indiana story. I'm bought into them, man. I'm pulling for them. I hope they can go up there and play the Buckeyes and smack Ohio State around. I know there's a lot of people that don't like the Buckeyes, but it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. Georgia took down Florida 34-20. DJ Lagway goes down with a hamstring injury. Carson Beck still doesn't look right. Something is just off with Carson Beck. Another 3 interceptions, and he's just throwing it into bad spots. Just throwing it into bad spots. Kentucky, Tennessee, the dark mode game for Tennessee. Tennessee wins 28-18. Dylan Sampson, 142 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he became the all-time leading touchdown by rushes for the University of Tennessee. Says a lot. Talked about Iowa State. They lost 23-22 to Texas Tech. Kansas State, number 17, they lost to Houston. Ole Miss went out there and took out some frustration. And this is for George for the Golden Boot. I'm sorry. Ole Miss took some frustration out on Arkansas and put up a 63 burger on them. Got him done. Army, without Bailey at quarterback, still finds a way to beat Air Force at 20-3. Now, what's interesting now is they'll have a week off before playing Notre Dame. Will Army fare better than what Navy did against Notre Dame? I don't know. I don't know if they will. I hope so. Now, the Skull and Bones, the crossbones, it was awesome. It was awesome. Love that uniform. They look good. But that was really all that happened. The Illini lost. I forgot Illinois was in the top 25. They were ranked 24. Minnesota knocked them off. Luke Altmaier, 20 of 32, 226, 1 touchdown. But it was a crazy week. A crazy week. It was all in that mid area. When you're talking about this 12-team playoff, they were all right there that lost. Right? Number 11, Clemson, gone. Tied with them, Iowa State, gone. 17, Kansas State, gone. It was rough. It's hard out there in the streets. That's why they built sidewalks, because the streets ain't for everybody, right? That's right. But yeah, it's next week is going to be so much fun too. It's coming down to some really good games. You've got no top 25, but Maction tomorrow night. How about Maction coming back tomorrow night? I love it. Love me some Maction. But you got top 25 for next week. You got Purdue at Ohio State, Miami, Georgia Tech, Florida, Texas, Georgia, Ole Miss. That's a big game. Georgia, Ole Miss is a big game. Michigan, Indiana, we talked about that. Iowa State at Kansas, Army at North Texas, Clemson at Va Tech, Hokie High, Inner Sandman. They're going to be having a good time. Colorado at Tech. We mentioned South Carolina at Vanderbilt. Maryland, fear the turtle. The Turtles and the Ducks. Maryland's got to travel all the way across the country to go play at Autzen. Tennessee is hosting Mississippi State. Florida State at Notre Dame. There was a lot of people hoping that game was going to – Dominic, if you're still there, I'm sorry, buddy. There was a lot of people hoping that game was going to mean something. Florida State at 1-8. Doesn't look good. Alabama, LSU, probably the biggest game. If I had to pick a game between – and Georgia, Ole Miss is big. But LSU, Alabama, I think is bigger. I think it's bigger right now. Washington at Penn State. I hope Washington beats them, knocks them out, so nobody will talk about Penn State anymore. Boise State, they're now in the top 12. I think, Ashton Genty, he's going to be in New York. But right now they've got the driver's seat for that college football playoff spot for the group of 5. Pittsburgh, they get into the top 25 after what they did last week, hosting the Wahoos. Then you got the Holy War, BYU and Utah. And I don't want to forget the Washington State Cougars, 7-1, ranked number 20 in the country. John Mater from Little Elm, Texas. from Little Elm, Texas to Pullman, Washington. Ooh, that's a journey. That's a journey. Another thing that and I'm going to tell you, I love sports, right? I love all sports. And one of the things that makes me happy, I love now that college basketball is back, guys. College basketball is back. And it starts today. I'm excited to see this season. Of course, I mentioned Oklahoma. That's who I used to go. I used to go to all those games, right? Used to love covering the team. But, man, college basketball is here. We're not far from baseball and softball to start. Let's see, around top 25 right now. The Maine Black Bears are playing at Duke. Duke's handling them 72-52. Tennessee 67-44 over Gardner-Webb. Texas A&M up by 7 on UCF. Texas A&M is number 13. Number 20, Cincinnati all over Arkansas Pine Bluff. Kentucky up by 40 on Wright State. Kansas dismantling Howard, as well as Houston taking on Jackson State. Houston's up 35-8. Iowa State up by 20 on Mississippi Valley State. Florida and South Florida just tipped off. South Florida in the lead there. Marquette and Stony Brook tied at 8. Ole Miss trailing Long Island early. Alabama will play tonight against UNC Asheville. North Carolina and Elon. Texas and Ohio State. Canisius at Arizona. Ryder at UCLA. And a big matchup on the West Coast. Number 8 Baylor. Number 6 Gonzaga. I'm excited about that game. I think that could be a really, really good basketball game this week. Quick update on Monday Night Football. I mentioned Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers taking on Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. Chiefs are up 3-0 right now. Chiefs at 7-0. The Buccaneers at 4-4. Other news in the NFL: Saints fire coach Dennis Allen after the 7th loss in a row, and they don't look like a good football team. And I'm surprised that Alvin Kamara is still there. I'm surprised that they haven't, or someone's come calling offering something. Christian McCaffrey apparently back at practice. We'll see how that does for them. But interesting week again in pro football, right? Started on Thursday night with the Jets beating the Texans. Joe Mixon, good day running for Joe. Falcons. How hot's the seat for McCartney at Dallas? Atlanta goes in there. Kirk O'Chains, 3 touchdowns, 222 yards. Falcons beat the Cowboys 21-7. And you can see the little clip where Dak Prescott is like, we suck. Bad news in Dallas. Bills take down the Dolphins 30-27. Bengals 41. Raiders 24. Chargers 27. Browns 10. Browns are now 2-7. 2-7. Patriots and Titans. Again, Mason Rudolph and Drake May, the quarterback combination there. The Panthers beat the Saints, and I think that led to Allen being fired. Ravens destroy the Broncos 41-10. The Eagles all over the Jaguars, but a lot closer towards the end. Jaguars come out and score 16 points in the third quarter, 28-23 the final there. Lions look good, 24-14 over the Pack. Rams, what a great throw from Matthew Stafford to Demarcus Robinson. That one-handed grab was sick. It was sick. And then Sunday Night Football, Justin Jefferson, Jet, 7 catches, 137 yards. But Stafford, man, on that play, if you didn't see it, you can go back and watch it. There was a lot of great highlights. But the game it made me happy. Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders got 7-2. Only won 4 games last year. Only won 4 games. Daniel Jones, 20-26, 174 yards. Now, the Giants were running the football against Washington and getting some good luck there. But how about for Washington, Brian Robinson hurt. You bring in Chris Rodriguez Jr. from Kentucky. Looked really good. Made some big time carries. First real action of the year, 11 carries, 52 yards. Noah Brown from Ohio State. They're targeting him more after the big play. Terry McLaurin, like I said, I love it for Terry McLaurin. He's so happy being in Washington right now. Next up, like I said, they had the Steelers. That is a 6-2 versus 7-2. Then that Thursday night against the Eagles. That's a tough back-to-back. A 6-2 Steelers team that's always going to be physical. And then you go to Philadelphia for a Thursday night football game. You know that crowd's going to be full throat. They're going to be ready to go. They're ready to let you know what is going on there. But that's what happened in the NFL this week. Looking ahead at some of the games that will be coming up this weekend, we mentioned the Steelers and the Commanders will be playing Thursday night football, an AFC North rivalry, Bengals at the Ravens, Giants, Panthers. Somebody's got to win that game, right? Patriots, Bears. Bears look bad against the Cardinals. Bills, Colts. Broncos, Chiefs. Falcons, Saints. 49ers, Bucks. Vikings, Jaguars, Titans at the Chargers. Eagles and Cowboys. Jets and Cardinals. And the Sunday night game is the Lions and the Texans. Monday night will be the Dolphins and the Rams. So, yeah, outstanding weekend of football. It was so much fun watching this week. And now that I've went through all this stuff, I'm going to talk a little bit about my team. Talk about Oklahoma. And I think a lot of people are going to say, well, it was just Maine. You're right. It was just Maine. But for a team that didn't have anything really going for them, I thought they played well. Saw some of the young guys get some action, and I thought that meant a lot for this team moving forward. Okay, really do. Now the other side of the state, Mike Gundy, 6 straight losses, longest losing streak in 2 decades. In his press conference today, said what's important for all Oklahoma State fans to know is that we're very aware what's going on, and at some point in life, we all have to put trust into somebody. And I think they need to trust that we have a good plan for what's going on here in the big picture, and we have answers. Sometimes they're not short-term. Sometimes they might be long-term. I don't know. If they go over in the Big 12, man, I don't know if Gundy's fit to survive that. I don't know if he is. They go to TCU. TCU is a 12.5-point favorite. Ollie Gordon not having the kind of year that he thought he was going to have. They're 3-6. 6 losses in a row. What's left for Oklahoma State? TCU, Texas Tech, then out in Boulder, Colorado. You know, it's going to be cold. Might be snowing out there. Colorado might be playing for their life to play in the Big 12 championship. Gundy could go over. If he goes over, I think he's done in Oklahoma State. I don't think you can let that go. I mean, when all offseason, all we heard from Oklahoma State is we got veterans. Ollie Gordon came back. Bowman is back. We got, leadership. And this is what happens. I don't think it's a good look for Oklahoma State and Mike Gundy. But that's just me. But I'm going to wrap things up here tonight, guys. I just want to say thank you so much for those who hopped in. I want to say thank you for those that stop by, say hello, for those that watch, for those of you that listen, however you take this podcast. Now, I want to remind you, I'm on PodBean, and I stream it on PodBean Live right now. So if you go to the PodBean app, and this is where I push my podcast out across all podcast platforms. Apple iTunes, Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all those places, right? That's where I'm at. But if you go to PodBean, you can get on there and look up Sports Bytes Podcast. And there's a function you can call in. And I love that. I want somebody to call in. We got to get this set up to have somebody call in, right? I'd love to hear from you. Love talking sports with people. But I'm across all social medias. You can see them down here if you're watching. Right there. Follow me on X at Sports Bytes Pod 1. On TikTok at Sports Bytes Pod. Go to YouTube. Subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. And it's going to help me out, guys. At Sports Bytes Podcast. You can follow on Insta as well at Sports Bytes Podcast. So, again, I just want to thank everybody. You guys were amazing. Enjoy your week. I will talk to you Friday on Friday Night Football. That is a 7 o'clock. Trying to arrange in a guest. We'll see if we get somebody on. Talk a little foosball as we head into a very important week in Week 11. Don't forget, also coming up at 8:30 on the Dog TV Network, it's the Golden Boot Podcast. And I'm going to tell you, Vandy Chris is going to be full of it. And you deserve it. He deserves it. Let him have his flowers, man. He's going to go out there and he's going to puff his chest. And, hey, Vanderbilt's bowl eligible. And I was one of the people that told him that Vanderbilt was going to win 2 games. But like I've said on here before, I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again. But I can admit when I'm wrong. So, cheers to you, Vandy Chris. But you also got Cody. He'll talk about this big LSU game coming up with Alabama and then George. George, I'm sorry, bud. Did not look good against Arkansas. I mean, against Ole Miss. They pretty much did whatever they wanted. Now, also, I want you guys to know, it's in the works. Now, I'm not everything is ready yet, but there is a chance that there's going to be some merch coming soon. All right? It's in the works. We're making the headway, trying to do all the right things, cross the T's, dot the I's, all that stuff, right? But I got some shirts. I'll let you know where you can go to find them. There's going to be some aprons, obviously, because it's a food-based sports show, and get into doing a lot more kind of, cooking-based content, right? Show what I'm making on game day, stuff like that. But, guys, thank you so much. Enjoy your Monday. Enjoy Monday Night Football. If you're a college basketball fan, enjoy college basketball, NBA basketball, whatever. Be safe tomorrow, guys. I know it's an election day. Remember to have compassion and just let people go do their process. And let's just leave it at that. Everybody have a great Monday. And remember to always positively move forward.
Thanks for joining us on this delicious journey through the world of sports and food on Sports Bytes. With your host, Chris Joseph. We hope you've enjoyed the game day stories and culinary adventures. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And if you've got any mouth-watering sports-related tales or favorite game day recipes, share them with us on social media. Until next time, remember, it's not just about the game. It's about the bites that make it unforgettable. Stay hungry for more Sports Bytes.